Hi there, welcome back to Owl Dragon Adventures. I'm Scott Kegler.
And I'm Rob MacPherson.
And today we're going to be doing a list of our top 5 solo games. So these are board games that are either made specifically for playing solo or that are also games that just have a good solo variant and just ones that we like to get to the table. We were excited to talk about these as we have spent a lot of time doing solo board gaming during the pandemic, you as well. Or if you're interested in getting into the hobby or more into the hobby, these are some great games you can play at any time, regardless if you have a group of people or if it's safe to have a group of people at your table.
I've actually found that I used to be a big video gamer. I still play my fair share of video games, but over the course of the past year, it's more often than not that I'll break out a board game instead when I'm playing solo.
Yeah, I actually find it a little bit more relaxing. It's the same thing. I used to be a late night video gamer. I still will, but I play a lot less video games in the last year and a half. I find this a little bit more relaxing, a way to finish it. It has to find an end.
Yeah, it's true. You don't find yourself playing till 6. You don't often find yourself playing until 6 a.m.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things. I can get it to the table. I can get a couple of good games in. Text and photographs of my hilarious defeats to Rob. But these are our favorite solo games. So with that, we will get into our list. And before we get into the rest of the list, we had a couple of runners-up for our top 5. So I guess you call it top 6. But these are our runners-up for solo games. Mine is a nice, handy game that fits right in your pocket. This is a what they call a wallet game by the king of wallet games. This is Button Shy Games, and this is banned books. I really enjoy it. Again, everything fits right in here. You do need like a few coins or other tokens you can add to the game, but plays very fast, about 15-minute, 20-minute game. Great while you're waiting for the guys to show up for a game night, or at the end of the game night, you want to play one last thing when everyone leaves. It's Banned Books by Button Shy Games.
It's my runner-up. This one was a little bit difficult to put as a runner-up for me. It was one of my favorites for a while, but it's One Deck Dungeon. And this one it's a great game. However, I found the reason it's fallen off my top 5 is just that the massive amount of dice that you roll, whereas it's really fun, it can also get really old pretty quickly. So this is by Asmodee Games. They just came out with the most recent expansion, Abyssal Depths, for it, and it's also got one more expansion for it. Really solid game, 1 to 2 players. Really designed for 1 players, but can play 2 players. Really fun game, but this is my runner-up.
So just making it into my top 5, actually knocking out another game, is a brand new game. We just did a review for it, The Rat Catcher, the solo adventure game by Platypus Industries. This is so much fun. It is I would say, a somewhat flawed game right now with some of the rules, but I still love it. Play it over and over again. Nice tabletop adventure game where you get to spread out a little bit. Not tile laying, but card laying, dice management, resource management, tactical places, and you get to trap and slaughter this town full of evil possessed rats. So a lot of fun.
I just picked this one up myself. It's a lot of fun. Great game.
So fun game for that adventure feeling. Will take you about an hour to get a playthrough through. It says 30 to 45 minutes. It takes me about an hour when I win. You can lose in 30 minutes easily.
Yeah, I was going to say I lost in 30 minutes last night.
But fantastic game. The Rat Catcher, designed by Matthew Aslan and published by Platypus Industries. So my number 5.
So my number 5, just bumping off One Deck Dungeon, is going to be Mini Rogue by Nuts Expert Games and designed by Paolo Di Stefano and Gabriel Gendron. Sorry if I murdered those names at all. This is another really fun solo, although it can be 2 player as well. 1 to 2 players. And it is a dungeon diving game, dice rolling, card exploration, dungeon exploration. You get to fight a boss. Really, really fun, just streamlined version of an old D&D dungeon delve. A lot of fun. We did play it 2 player as well. Plays well 2 player. I think it really shines 1 player though. So that's my number 5.
My number 4 is Warp's Edge, part of the Solo Hero series, a game by Scott Almes, who actually I have a lot of games that I love by Scott Almes, by Renegade Game Studios. It is a really fun 1-player bag building game where you are doing a space theme, where you are fighting a ship in kind of an Edge of Tomorrow called Warp's Edge. You keep going back in time, and that's kind of the bag building mechanic. A lot of fun as you're kind of just figuring out what to do with your actions as you pull them from the bag, and every time you get to a reset, you get more and more abilities, and I love it. I'm looking to upgrade some of the components just because I enjoy playing it so much. So that's Warp's Edge by Renegade Game Studios.
So my number 4 is The Seventh Continent. This is by Serious Pulp Games. This is a narrative card-laying game, I think the best way to put it. So each card has got numbers which they attach to other ones, so it's not tile placement because it's not randomized in that sense. But very, very heavy narrative where you are cursed and you're trying to get uncursed. I would let you know how that goes, but I've yet to win or even come close to winning. Definitely a heavier game on my top 5 list. It's a lot of game. There are hundreds upon hundreds. There's like 375 cards in here at least, and there's some expansions that I'm looking forward to getting. I've really enjoyed it so far, and I can't wait to break it out onto the table again. I just need a little bit more time in my day before I can get something like this out there. But so that's The Seventh Continent. That's my number 4 game.
My number 3 pick is Palm Island by John Metling. I apologize if I'm butchering that. By Portal Dragon. This is such a great game, solo game. It is technically 1 to 2 player. There's kind of a competitive and a cooperative mode for this game, but really shines as a 1-player game. This is, for me, one of the ultimate travel games.
Easy.
It has a wallet feature like banned books, so you can just add what you want for the game, bring it with you. I brought this on vacation with me this summer. It is fantastic. As the game title says, Palm Island, the entire game fits in the palm of your hand. You're trying to develop this island that you live on and improve it. So you're using resources that you flip to the side and then use them to pay for new upgrades.
Just speaking of that name, I was showing it to a friend of ours, and I was like, yeah, so this is Palm Island. So you pull it out and you hold it in the palm of your hand as you play. It's like, oh, Palm Island.
But I really love it, particularly if you can get the plastic card edition, because the cards are very sturdy and also waterproof. So the game could be played while sitting in a beach chair. So that's one of the reasons why. Yeah, it's fantastic for that reason. Love this game. Plays very quickly, and there's more games are going to be coming out in this genre now, and I'm very excited for it. So Palm Island, my number 3.
So my number 3 is another one that's a little bit heavier than most of the games on my list. This is Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. It's a game that I always wanted to get into the base game of, and so when this one came out, I was able to scoop it up real quick when it was still a Target exclusive. It's 1 to 4 players. I've played it 1 and 2 players. I really think it's a great game for a single player, though. It's definitely an engine build, extreme engine build. It doesn't have as many choices for the engine building as the full Terraforming Mars, but it's got just enough to keep it interesting. My only complaint about the game is that I have to shuffle a deck of like 500 cards at the beginning of every playthrough, which is about as fun as it sounds. But no, the gameplay itself is a lot of fun. This is about a 60-minute game. This is by Stronghold Games. And I'd say 60 minutes is pretty spot on. I've only won 1 or 2 out of the dozen games I've played of it. A lot of fun though. Good engine builder. A lot lighter than the base game, and a much smaller box as well. So highly recommend that. So that's going to be my number 3.
My number 2 is Spire's End. It's by Favreau Games. It is a really unique, fun little card adventure game. So everything is basically laid out as different heroes that you play are different. I think they're called allies in the game. You're traveling through this dark dungeon crawl. You start off in the game in this village. It's all story driven. Has a little bit of a choose your next step, choose your next part of the story mentality, where you a lot of decision based problems that happen, but there is a combat part of the game with some dice rolling that's fun. It is just delightfully dark if you like Lovecraftian type stuff, which I absolutely do. You probably tell from the channel as you go through, I'm a big fan of anything Lovecraft. There is never a happy ending in the game, but there are endings, and it's a lot of fun getting to those. Just seeing how you interact with the environment. Fantastic game. Spire's End actually is coming up for a new reprint of the game as well. It was out of print. I highly recommend
the reprint sold out already.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's.
I haven't checked lately, but if I had to guess, it's close to sold out.
Yeah, it's a fantastic. That's a good endorsement for the game. It's very hard to get a copy of, but it's fantastic. There's actually a sequel that was kickstarted that I kickstarted as well, coming out with one of the characters as a prequel. So if this game is, as he said, the designer of this game was Lord of the Rings. The sequel is more about Hobbit.
Nice.
Game. So I'm very excited to see more from this world. Spire's End by Favreau. That's my number 2.
My number 2 is going to be The Night Cage by Smirk and Laughter Games. So this is one that I picked up a couple months ago on recommendation from my friendly local game store. And it is a really fun, light-ish tile playing game, light in gameplay, not in tone. Tile playing game where as you move along, as soon as you lose line of sight, you also lose the tiles that are on the board. So the maze around you is constantly changing. Very simple. You're trying to find 4 keys to get out of the prison that you are in, one for each of the characters in here. Abstract game with a very strong theme, in my opinion. I was able to get the Kickstarter edition, so I've got some nice acrylic pieces. This is one that I will break out pretty regularly. It's a fast setup, fast playthrough, longest period of time is shuffling the tiles as with any tile laying game. Other than that, though, very, very quick game to get into. Absolutely love this one. So that is The Night Cage. That is my number 2.
Which we just did a review for, so check that out as well on the channel. Yep. My number 1 is Friday by Friedman Freeze. This is a solo adventure game, so again, made strictly for solo play. It is a deck building game where you are helping Robinson Crusoe to survive on the island. He starts off very, as the cards even say, he's very dumb. And you're trying to get rid of your dumb, foolish, tired, hungry cards and get better cards as he's fighting against issues on the island, exploring the island. And as you're playing the character Friday, as the player, you're going through all the deck for him and trying to improve his survivability. What I love about it, has great win condition at the game. There is a point system as well to kind of beat your score, but there is a specific win condition, so I want to get to that as a player. Relatively small table presence. Really, this game that has got me into solo gaming. Like, this is the one where I'm like, oh my God, I have so much fun getting this to the table. Plays within about 25, 30 minutes. And I love the art of it. It's very silly. Can't recommend it enough.
It's also Stranded on a Desert Island theme, which
I love the Stranded on an Island theme in a lot of games and books, movies. It's just that I love Survivor stuff. This can't recommend enough, particularly if you're getting your first game, because you can get into this relatively cheap. It's only about a $15, $20 game if you can find it. And again,
it's rarely available too.
It's always very easy to find at your local game store or online. And again, it doesn't take up a lot of room, and a lot of people will happily take it off your hands if you have a copy of it. So if you get it and you don't like it, can't recommend enough for your first starter solo game. Friday by Friedman Freeze, published by Rio Grande Games, my number 1 pick.
And my number 1 game, true to its theme, is back again from earlier in one of our lists. It's got to be Warp's Edge by Scott Elms, Renegade Game Studios, their Solo Hero series. So I picked this one up first about a month ago. Anything space themed is going to be really draw me in. I'm a space nerd. I absolutely love it. It's the industry I work in. But so that drew me in right away with this one. It's a solo series. As Scott described before, it's a bag building game with a lot of fun, Starfighter. And I gotta say, it actually feels like you're playing a Starfighter. Like, they got the feel of it pretty good for what you can in a board game. Like,
yeah, it's it's funny because another solo game I have is Under Falling Skies, which is enjoyable, but this is just way more fun in my opinion. I like Under Falling Skies. I have a weird complaint with that game. We'll talk about it another time. But Warp's Edge, my thing is I love the Edge of Tomorrow thing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 1 is Warp's Edge by Scott Elms. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because we already discussed it before. But that definitely rounds out my top 5 as a number 1 spot.
So that was our top 5 picks from my end and Rob's end here. Hope you found these enjoyable. We'd love to hear about other solo games that you are playing right now. So if you want to leave those in the comments or visit us on Facebook as well and put those in. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and make sure to subscribe to the channel.
As always, I'm going to put a link to all of these games to their base websites down in the description below, so you can follow the links to that. You can find them Most of these are pretty easily found, with the exception of, I think, Spire's End is hard to find. Seventh Continent can be hard to find. Not too bad, though.
Yeah, most of these are pretty.
Ratcatcher is the other one that's really hard to find.
Otherwise, these are all pretty easy. Well,
Yeah.
Spire's End, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a few of these are a little harder to find copies of, but I mean, keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Also, a way to get interested in certain publishers and find out when they're going
Sure.
to be doing new games, whether it's going to be direct to retail or Kickstarter. Well, we hope you enjoyed this, and we wish you good luck on your future tabletop adventures.
And thank you for joining us on ours.